Hey guys, have you ever felt deeply drawn to someone, agreed to date, or even entered into a relationship just to realize after some time that the relationship was requiring too much sacrifice, too much pretending, or too much ignoring what really matters to you? Then this video is for you. Today I'm talking about compatibility. This topic often arises in hindsight and for some reason is often discounted for not being as important as attraction and chemistry. Compatibility should be assessed as soon as mutual attraction, chemistry, and interest is confirmed. This assessment is important in any dating scenario, but especially in midlife. I believe that you really cannot and should not pursue any dating relationship you think has potential without a long conversation about compatibility. A connection lacking true compatibility can cause confusion and dissonance. It's always best to eliminate assumptions about compatibility with an honest conversation, asking questions in 3 areas: temperament, interest and lifestyle, and core values. My recommendation is that you investigate these areas early on to come to reasonable conclusions you can logically depend on. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through these 3 major areas of compatibility that I believe deserve serious attention in midlife dating, so you can better recognize when a connection has real potential versus when incompatibility signals the connection is not a fit. Hi, I'm Cathy Bracken, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I appreciate each and every one of you taking time to drop by and hang out with me for a bit. Don't forget to subscribe, tap that notification bell, and give the video a thumbs up. Your support allows me to continue creating my unique brand of self-improvement content aimed at educating, empowering, and inspiring positive transformation in you, the viewer. Now let's jump back in. The first area of compatibility is relationship temperament. Now I'm going to do a deep dive on this one because it's the one area often overlooked. Temperament is about how 2 people naturally move through life and relationships. It shows up in emotional expression, affection, sexual preferences, problem solving, and even how each person handles pressure and stress. By midlife, a person's temperaments are established as they are formed in early childhood and continue to develop as we age. Reactivity, baseline mood, attachment patterns, emotional regulation, communication style, and conflict behaviors are just a few of the things that determine a person's temperament. Relationship temperament is a person's typical emotional style, behavioral tendencies, and their reactions to things in close relationships. It describes how someone usually thinks, feels, and acts with their partners, families, and close friends across various situations. It is a foundational aspect of personality that directly affects communication, conflict resolution, and the overall dynamic between partners. Temperament characteristics are difficult to conceal. They are easy to identify, though, if you know what to look for. Take some time to assess your person's temperament in various areas, and if your temperaments are not a match, the relationship probably has an expiration date on it. When it comes to mismatched temperaments, it's not an if the relationship will have problems, it's a when. A temperament mismatch is not a judgment of whether a person is good or bad, nor does it mean one person is right or wrong. Mismatches simply indicate core differences of perspective and behavior. Now let me give you some examples of what mismatched temperaments look like. If a person is highly expressive and needs constant direct emotional engagement, while the other isn't or consistently shuts down, is detached, or difficult to read, that's a mismatch. If one person is naturally affectionate and the other one is far more reserved and doesn't enjoy demonstrating affection and emotional intimacy, that's a mismatch. You can address the gap in temperament with open communication, but it will always require a lot of work for one person more than the other. If one person wants to solve problems immediately while the other one shuts down every time tension appears, that's a mismatch. Trying to manage even ordinary conflict will become exhausting. If sexual preferences are very different and neither person is honest about that, frustration will build, sometimes overtly, other times quietly. This will almost always lead to a breach in relationship fidelity. In midlife, sexual temperament incorporates preferences, orientation, frequency, intensity, and boundaries. Adults at this age like what they like in this area. Now, the grown-up dating approach here is to not give so much importance to attraction and chemistry alone. For long-term compatibility, there has to be matching or complementary temperaments. Nobody wants to have to change who they are for another person. If the connection leads to constant arguments and disputes around different perspectives, the problem is likely that the temperaments don't match. You want to feel like you can be yourself without constantly adjusting your thoughts, preferences, and feelings to keep the peace, avoid judgment, avoid rejection, or the loss of the relationship. The reality all too often is that you're just too different. A temperament match is a relatively good indicator of relationship success. And if you don't understand the importance of identifying temperament early in the connection, you can stay emotionally invested in a connection that was never going to feel natural, promote mutual contentment, or be truly workable in real life. If you're not compatible in this area, you're probably not a fit. You can't force compatibility of temperament with counseling or therapy. When it comes to relationship temperament compatibility, you want to look for a connection that requires you to add water and stir. Nobody wants to be fixed or changed by another person in this season of life. Forcing temperament compatibility will feel like you're being parented, discounted, or disrespected. The second area of compatibility is general interest and lifestyle. This matters more than many people want to admit, especially in midlife. You don't need to like all the same things, and you don't need to be a mirror of each other. But there should be a substantial amount of overlap in the things you already enjoy, or at least a genuine openness to participating in and respecting each other's interests. This is important because shared interests contribute to quality time spent together doing things you both enjoy. It helps both people feel included, affirmed, and understood, and over time, that matters. Now let me share some examples. If a man loves sports and the woman he is dating hates sports or has no respect for why this matters to him, that difference may seem manageable at first, but over time it can lead to unnecessary sacrifice and resentment. And likewise, if a woman loves dancing and the man she's dating hates dancing and doesn't understand why it matters to her, that can create a serious problem. He may resent the role dancing plays in her life. He may not like that she may be dancing with other men, and she may feel discounted and penalized for loving something that brings her so much joy. The same is true in broader lifestyle patterns. A man with a very demanding job and very little discretionary time may not be well matched with a woman whose lifestyle leaves her with far more free time and very different expectations around availability. A man who hunts for sport may be fundamentally mismatched with a woman who is deeply connected to animal welfare or vegan values. The issue is not that one person is right and the other is wrong. The issue is that some differences create real conflict in how people live, connect, and build a life. And by midlife, this becomes even more important because people are often more settled in what they value. Their interests, habits, rhythms, and lifestyle preferences are usually not in an early experimental stage anymore. They are quite established. That is why everyday realities matter so much. How someone likes to live matters. Where they want to live matters. Whether they prefer city life, the suburbs, or a rural setting matters. Transportation preferences can matter. Hygiene matters. Housekeeping style matters. If one person needs order and cleanliness to feel calm, and the other is messy and doesn't prioritize having a clean living environment, that is not a tiny issue. If one person is casual about daily hygiene and the other one sees hygiene as a basic, non-negotiable self-care practice, that difference is going to matter a lot. If one person wants a very simple home life and the other wants a very particular, tightly controlled environment, that gap in preference will be a problem. So the correction here is to stop minimizing the practical side of compatibility. Pay attention to whether your daily lives actually make sense together. Focus on whether the connection would feel shared, respectful, and sustainable in your real life. And stop telling yourself that major lifestyle differences are just small because the attraction is strong. In some cases, there may be a creative solution. One of them discussed in the book is living apart together. For some couples, maintaining separate homes will reduce lifestyle friction and preserve peace while still allowing the relationship to grow. Living apart together will not solve every incompatibility, but in the right situation, it can be a viable solution when lifestyle differences are significant. The third area is core values. This is where compatibility gets deeply personal. Core values include your personal views on family, tradition, marriage, culture, politics, and religion. These are not surface level preferences. These are ideals often formed very early in life, a lot like temperament. And by midlife, our core values usually feel even more significant because life has already tested them. Core values often function like unconscious absolutes. They are tied to your self-image and personal identity. And when a person you care about doesn't share those values, it can be very painful. The revelation that these differences even exist is very disappointing, and it can be very hard to accept. But honesty with yourself is imperative here. Incompatible core values rarely serve a meaningful long-term connection. People often think they can overlook major differences in this area because the chemistry is strong or because they don't want to lose the possibility of the connection. But that is usually a fallacy. Reality will not support your hopes in this area. Your core values define who you are. That is not something attraction can overcome for very long. Trying to force it usually requires we pretend, minimize, and ignore what goes against our sense of truth. That is why these conversations need to happen earlier than many people are comfortable with. Not in an aggressive or interrogating way, but in an honest adult way that helps both people see whether real compatibility exists. And if it becomes clear that core values do not align, it doesn't always mean the other person is bad or wrong. Sometimes it simply means the connection is not a fit. Sometimes a platonic friendship or casual connection is the true win-win because it preserves respect for the other person and authenticity for yourself. Now, another area I want to mention here is culture. Culture can influence compatibility in a big way. Culture creates hindrances that people often do not acknowledge until they've already entered the connection. Now, race is not a standard of incompatibility, but culture can be. People from very different cultures may feel intense attraction and chemistry, partly because of those differences. But cultural traditions, norms, religious beliefs, and relationship role expectations often do not tolerate those differences nearly as well as attraction does. This is an area of real dissonance for many people. When you connect with someone from a different culture, and especially from a different country, there may be a serious compatibility consideration to address. For example, if a man comes from a culture with strict gender, dress, religious, and social requirements, and a woman from a more open, permissive Western culture, these two may not be a fit. One or the other will have to make major concessions, changes, and adjustments, and over time, that will destroy mutuality and reciprocity. So let's bring it all together. Compatibility is not about finding your clone. It's about recognizing whether the connection has enough of a realistic life fit to be sustainable. That means looking at temperament, not just attraction. It means looking at general interest and lifestyle, and not just whether the communication is flattering. And it means looking at core values and not just whether you find each other interesting. The more honest you are about compatibility, the less likely you are to build hope around something that was always going to be difficult to manage and grow. And that honesty is helpful. It helps you identify and move toward connections where you can be yourself, where the relationship feels more natural than forced, and where authenticity, respect, and contentment have a real chance to grow. Now, if this message is resonating with you and you want to go deeper into the principles and real life practices behind grown-up dating, my book and companion workbook were created for exactly that purpose. The book helps you understand the framework, and the workbook is like your own personal relationship coach, asking the questions and presenting exercises to help you apply it to your own patterns, decisions, and relationships. You can get the ebook by itself or get both in a discounted bundle, and you can find the links to both offers in the description box below. And if you would like some personalized help sorting out compatibility in your dating life and learning how to better recognize when the fit is real, I also offer one-on-one coaching through my Midlife Dating Reset Program. It's a 4-week coaching experience with 4 60-minute sessions, live email support, and practical assignments. And the link to sign up for my coaching program is also in the description box below. Now, plan to stay with me and keep watching the series, because in the next video, we're going to talk about realistic expectations in midlife dating. We'll look at how fantasy, chemistry, loneliness, and pressure can make people expect too much in the wrong areas and too little in the areas that actually matter. And we'll talk about how to stop looking for perfection, stop choosing from potential, and start asking whether two imperfect adults can build something respectful, workable, and real. Before you go, if this video spoke to you, I hope you'll subscribe, tap the notification bell, and give the video a thumbs up and hype it if you really liked it. I would really love to hear from you in the comments. Which of these areas feels most important to you right now? Temperament, lifestyle fit, or core values? And if you know someone who keeps getting pulled into connections that feel exciting but are not truly a compatible fit, please share this video with them. Well, that's all for part 5. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cathy Bracken, and I will see you in the next video. Make today amazing and be well.